Beating back crime and bringing trust to the community, two goals of Clark County's new sheriff, Kevin McMahill.
After taking office Monday, McMahill is now outlining his vision for the department. In tonight's Operation Crime and Justice, News 3's Denise Rosh has this exclusive one-on-one conversation.
I just love this place, and that's why I came back.
New Year's Eve on the Las Vegas Strip. Kevin McMahill greeting as many Metro officers as possible. His official swearing in was still 2 days away, but the newly elected sheriff says he was chomping at the bit to get started.
You can see I don't have anything in the office yet.
Now settling into his new office at police headquarters, McMahill says it is time to get down to business.
Working with my folks already and starting to focus in on one of the most important things we have to do, which is beat back crime.
And here's what the sheriff is starting with. According to Metro crime stats, homicides and sex offenses were down in 2022 compared to the year before. But robbery, burglary, and car theft were up. McMahill says hiring more officers is key.
We're about 300 officers down, which is basically the equivalent of 2 area commands. I really believe that recruitment in other states has not been very effective for us.
Instead, he'd like to see a jump in local applicants, bringing honor and respect to the badge.
Sometimes the police were our own worst enemies. I mean, if we're going to be really honest about this, the incident in Minneapolis, Minnesota with George Floyd really sort of pushed policing back another 20 years. That should have never happened. It was murder, and we all know that. But we also need to do a better job as law enforcement. I need to do a better job as the sheriff, really, of educating people about the extreme good that these men and women go out and do day in and day out.
McMahill began his career with Metro in 1990, promoting all the way up to undersheriff until he retired about 2 years ago. Then came the opportunity to run for sheriff and return to the department he loves. And one thing he is determined to do is to create a wellness bureau to take care of each employee's heart, mind, body, and soul.
Singular instances of trauma on our folks like 1 October, and then cumulative effects of seeing the worst of the worst and the worst in humanity over all of those years. I mean, you think about this, hundreds of homicide scenes and rapes and robberies and all of those kinds of things. It takes a toll on our men and women.
McMahill says he'll also tackle issues of homelessness, addiction, and mental illness in the community, all contributing factors, he says, to crime. He'll also continue working with local groups like Hope for Prisoners, which helps former inmates re-enter the workforce and the community.
People ask me all the time, why do you work with ex-cons? Because we give them hope. We give them an opportunity. 90% plus are not back out committing crimes ever again.
And that, he says, is the goal. Safer streets, safer neighborhoods, even while Southern Nevada continues to welcome the world to visit.
Look what's happening in our community. I mean, we have F1 coming, we have a Super Bowl coming, the list just keeps getting bigger and bigger. We're a major metropolitan city, and this police department is going to respond very well to all of that.
That absolute tragedy in Utah is not the only murder-suicide that we've been covering over the last 24 hours. Here in Las Vegas, Metro Police tell us a man shot and killed his ex-girlfriend and himself.
Now, concerning situations for domestic violence organizations throughout the valley. News 3's Kristen Drummond is looking out for locals tonight. She joins us live outside the shade tree with the possible warning signs to help yourself or a friend.
Well, Jim and Marie, sometimes the signs of domestic violence are evident. Other times they're not, and we have to remember abuse is not just physical, which means it really takes all of us being aware to look out for our family and friends to make sure they do not end up in a very dangerous situation.
People should be doing wellness checks on their loved ones because we don't know what's happening.
Advice from Linda Perez, a survivor of domestic violence and the CEO of Shade Tree, an organization providing shelter and resources for women and children escaping domestic violence.
When would you say you see more murder-suicides?
Around this time and in the spring.
Why is that?
I believe around this time is because of the holidays. There's a lot, not everybody, this is not a joyous time for everyone.
But that's not the only form of domestic violence. Data from the state shows abusers using hands, fists, and feet are the most common weapon. As for the number of cases, it's fluctuated over the last 4 years. In Clark County, statistics show domestic violence going down 12% from 2021 to 2022. It seems positive. However, the same happened between 2019 and 2020 before it went back up again.
It's important to remember domestic violence is about power and control.
Meaning it's not just physical, according to Beth Flory, the executive director of Safe House, a domestic violence agency in Henderson.
There's also financial abuse, not allowing you to go to work, encouraging you to stay home, but then not providing you any financial resources. If you're sensing that something is wrong in this relationship and your partner is saying things to you that make you feel bad, it is very likely that it could lead to physical abuse later in that relationship.
And possibly ending your life?
Yes, and possibly ending your life.
Situations Flory and Perez continue working to improve here in the Valley.
We can make a bigger difference in our community.
Now, both women tell me it can take a person about 7 to 10 attempts before they leave their partner for good. And places like the Shade Tree as well as Safe House are not just resources for victims. Family and friends can also reach out to ask for information or just even get some advice if they suspect their loved one or family member is in an unhealthy situation.
A local family is suing the Clark County School District and several school employees, claiming a class assignment amounted to obscene sexual activity. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera in for Latoya Silman. The lawsuit also lays out a string of events that followed. Crisis in the classroom. Investigative reporter Tiffany Lane is here in studio with a breakdown.
Yeah, the Evans family filed this 30-page complaint in district court in December. The lawsuit is claiming that the district and other defendants supported a teacher's, quote, unlawful grooming and abuse of a minor student, compelling the minor student and other students to perform obscene sexual activity as a class assignment.
A lawsuit filed December in a state district court claims Kendra Evans' daughter and other students at a class at Las Vegas Academy of the Arts were told to memorize and perform monologues written by other students and approved by their teacher. That was back in March. According to the complaint, the monologue to be performed by Evans' daughter described a woman coming out as lesbian to her ex-boyfriend and saying, quote, I don't love you. It's not you, it's just your, with a genital reference included. The complaint saying the teacher directed the student to perform the monologue, quote, even though it constituted sexual education and sexually obscene material. Evans said she spoke to the school about it in April when she found a written version of the assignment and asked her daughter about it, according to the lawsuit. On May 12th, Evans decided to say something to the CCSD School Board of Trustees. Evans began to read the material from the monologue during public comment. Here's part of a clip of the video from the district live stream on Eduvision, where some of the audio has been bleeped on the site. At one point, Evans was reading the monologue and the microphone went quiet.
I'm going to read you an assignment given to my 15-year-old daughter at a local high school. This will be horrifying for me to read to you, but that will give you perspective on how she must have felt when her teacher required her to memorize this and to act it out in front of her entire class. I don't love you. It's not you. It's just, I don't like your dick, or any dick in that case. I cheated, Joe.
I'm sorry.
This is propaganda.
Forgive me. Excuse me. I don't. Thank you so much for your. Thank you for your comment. Forgive me. We're not using profanity. Are you?
Okay. We have the time back. That's relevant.
Okay.
Yes. The teacher required my daughter to memorize this and read this pornographic material.
Excuse me. Please don't engage with the audience.
Okay. Sorry,
so please continue your public comment. Your time is. You've got 1 minute and 19 seconds. I ask you simply. This is a public meeting. I ask for decorum, and I'm asking Dr. Jara. Thank you so much, Dr. Jara.
If you don't want me to read it to you, what was that like for my 15-year-old daughter to have to memorize pornographic material and memorize it and portray.
Madam President, members of the board, staffs on this, we can have the region superintendent speak to her.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jara. It seems like you may have some concerns, and while we're not allowed to engage back and forth in a dialogue, we would absolutely like to make sure that your concerns are addressed.
Material, just finish what I was going to say.
Please.
My daughter was forced to engage in the portrayal of this blank activity by her teacher.
Evans continued speaking without reading the monologue, the complaint calling the school board incident a violation of her First Amendment rights and procedural due process rights.
Now, in the lawsuit, the family is also asking for a gag order to protect the anonymity of the teenager and a temporary restraining order against several people to prevent retaliation against the student. The Evans family is also asking for damages in excess of $50,000. The attorneys representing the family say they are not commenting at this time. I also reached out to the district that says it does not comment on pending litigation. Now, according to documents, CCSD's lawyers argued that there were federal law issues at play, so they asked for the court to be changed to federal court. Of course, we'll continue following this developing story, but for now, send me your tips on issues impacting our schools, whether you're a student, parent, employee, or a concerned community member. School tips at news3lv.com, or you can call 702-805-0489. Another option, just directly go to that flow code on your screen, scan it, and it will send right over to the emails.
Hi everybody, I'm Reed Cowan from News 3 Las Vegas. We want to thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Remember, you can always see more of our videos by clicking on the video links. And also don't forget to click that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of our YouTube updates. Thanks for watching.